Hello, welcome to Beckie Bookworm. This week I wanted to talk a bit about Ilkley Literature Festival that I went to on Saturday, and also do my wrap up for September. So, Ilkley Literature Festival, I decided to go there alone on Saturday, went for some lunch at a little veggie cafe, and then attended 3 talks. The first one was by a lady called Patricia Dunker. She is actually the Professor of Contemporary Literature, I think at Manchester University, and she did a talk on Charlotte Bronte's Villette and the Gothic. I found it really, really interesting. She spoke for 45 minutes, so she spoke about a lot of stuff, but she started off reading out some letters that people had sent to Charlotte Bronte about Villette and how they spoke about it. She also spoke about how Charlotte Bronte layered metaphors, starting with like layering metaphors for the realism and then for the Gothic. And not being an academic, I'd never really looked at a story and thought about that kind of thing and the symbolism and all that sort of stuff. So it was really interesting to listen to her talk, and she was a very, very passionate person. Really, you could tell she really loved what she does. Unfortunately, I hadn't finished the book by the time I went there, so it was a bit spoilery for me, but I don't think you can complain about spoilers on a book that's 200 years old, can you? The next one I went to a medieval Islamic library, Lost and Found by Fozia Bora. Fozia Bora is a lecturer at Leeds University, and it was done as a kind of discussion piece between herself and a rare books dealer called Christian White. So he basically asked her questions, and she talked about this point in history and what she thought had happened to these books and what led her to come to these conclusions. Again, very interesting. I only picked this one because it was sort of in between the 2 talks that I wanted to see. I'm really glad I went. Like I said, very interesting. It was about a sultan called Salah al-Din, and he was basically blamed for the destruction of all these books in I think it was the Royal Library. But when people have looked into it, they don't think that's what's actually happened. And part of Fozia's work was she looked into that, and she tracked down some books and all this sort of thing, and looked into like accounts of his behaviour and all this sort of thing. So if you're interested in that, she did write a piece that was published all about this. I'll put the link below and you can download it for free and read that. The third talk I went to was the one I really wanted to go, and that was Writing and Reading in the Digital Age, and that was a panel of 4 people, but I only noted down 3 people's names, so I'm really sorry, 4th person. But it was Simon Savage, Jen Campbell and Rachel Kerr. Simon Savage is a blogger and he does podcasts and all that sort of thing. Jen, as you probably already know, she's an author, an antiquated book dealer, and also a vlogger. And the third, Rachel Kerr, is a publisher with a company called Unbound, who basically it's like crowdsourced publishing, which I'd never heard of before, and having a look at the site, it looks really, really interesting. So if you are also interested in that, I'll put the link below so that you can see it. Yeah, so it was a wonderful day. It was just a really fun day. It was the first time I've been to a literature festival, and I'll definitely be going again next year, and I might see if there's any on in other places and go to those too. Okay, so book review time. So my wrap up, I read 4 books last month. The first one was Boonville. I think I spoke about this in the first video that I did, but I'm just going to talk about it again. Basically, Boonville is by Robert Mailer Anderson, and it's about a guy called John who moves to his grandma's house after she passes away. His grandma has moved from Florida, I think it is, to basically the back end of nowhere in this little sort of hillbilly town called Boonville, where people just love to drink and fight, and everyone's a little bit eccentric, and there's a commune of assorted hippies that one of the girls he meets lives there. She's quite normal in comparison to these people. There's sort of all different branches of hippies, including these weird feral hippies that don't wear clothes and basically act like wild dogs in the house. I found those bits a little bit disturbing, but it's written really well. You get into the characters quite well and the pacing's really good. I felt like the characters were likeable and I enjoyed the fact that it wasn't a big romance. It kind of starts out like it might be, but that's not really the point of the book. There's relationships in there and there's people to getting to know each other as well, but it's more about these two people finding themselves, and I really liked that in the book, so I definitely recommend that. Next one is Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops by Jen Campbell. I love this book, really good. I read it in an afternoon. It's just very strange conversations that either Jen or somebody else that works in bookshops that she's interviewed have overheard or been part of, and there's lots of like little illustrations in there, as you can see. Really, really funny. I'll read one of them out. So the customer says, "Do you run a story time for children?" Bookseller, "Yes, we do. It's on Tuesday for toddlers." Customer says, "Great, the crash up the road is so expensive. I've been dying to have a few hours to go shopping and maybe get my nails done." The bookseller says, "I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you have to supervise your child at story time." "Why?" says the customer. The bookseller says, "Because we're not a creche." So it's full of things like that. I also have more things customers say in bookshops that I've got on my TBR list, so I'll probably read that this month, but really enjoyed it. Like to read more silly things about what customers are saying. Next up is Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. Now, Gilead is part of a trilogy of books. I've spoken several times about these, you probably know the story by now, but I just wanted to do a quick review of it. I did do a write-up review on my blog. I'll put the link down below so that you can see that. Interesting book. I found it a little bit hard going towards the end. I don't know if that was because of where my head was at, or because it was too long, or because the format got to me. I'm not entirely sure, but the book's basically written mostly like a letter that an elderly reverend is writing to his son to be given to him after he passes, and it goes on about his thoughts, his feelings, the relationships he had with his father and the relationship he wishes he could have had with his son, the relationship he has with his wife, and also the worry he has for one of his best friend's sons, because he feels like this guy has done something in his past and he's worried that it's going to affect his wife. So it's just about that without spoiling it. But it's a really good book. I did quite enjoy it, and I have bought the other two companion books because I want to know more about the other characters that were in this, so that should be good. Very good book. And my final and fourth book is John Connolly, The Book of Lost Things. I didn't know what to expect when I bought this book. I bought it because I liked the cover, I thought it was pretty, and that's pretty much it really. So I bought it, read it, wonderful book. I know that's a bit of a theme, I've said good things about all of my books this month, but they have all been really good. And I've never really read anything like this book before. Unexpectedly good. Not that I'm saying John Connolly isn't generally a good writer, I'd never read anything of his before, but I really, really loved the way the story went. It sort of starts with a little boy in war era Britain. He's not getting on with his dad's new girlfriend, and a baby comes along and he gets jealous, and he ends up accidentally going to this other land, and it's about the people he meets there and what happens. And it turns out all these people that he's meeting are sort of real versions of fairy tales that he's heard, so Red Riding Hood and Sleeping Beauty and Snow White and all that sort of thing, and it's just given sort of a grim twist on it, really. I definitely want to read more books by John Connolly. Like I said, I really enjoyed where this went. I really, really thought it was very well written. All the characters were really rounded out, and yeah, really good book. And that is it for me for September. I only read 4 books. Don't know how many I'm going to get through this month, but as you've probably seen from my book hauls for last month, I've got quite a lot to choose from. I did also ask in my last video that if anybody could recommend any dystopian fiction, I'm always looking for that, so please leave the comments down below. Okay, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next video. Thank you, bye!